Hi, I'm Dave Barnes.
And I'm John McLaughlin.
And welcome to Dadville.
Dadville is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please, enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with Andy Roddick.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Dude, we are really, really excited to have you on. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Who's are you guys both friends with Drew Holcomb?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
and I'm glad you said that. We need to start by shouting out the great Drew Holcomb.
He was great. He said, well, will you go on this? I said, whatever, dude. You tell me if you want me to go on it. He goes, yeah, go on it. I go, okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Great.
That's all it takes.
I've known since even pre-music days.
Oh, really?
When he was at Tennessee, yeah, he and my little brother are best
cool.
friends. But yeah, we've done Drew for many, many moons, done a million shows.
Love Drew.
So here we go. And we're talent now. Okay. Go. Today on Dadville, we've got a guy who, for a stretch there, basically had the fastest serve on planet Earth. And honestly, maybe still does in our minds, Andy Roddick. Andy was the world #1 tennis player, won the U.S. Open, and spent nearly a decade living in that top-tier elite athlete world, which John and I haven't even seen from a microscope, which as dads, we can only relate to in the sense that we've all yelled at our kids to hustle at some point. He's racked up 30-plus titles, led the U.S. to a Davis Cup win, and held the fastest serve record for years, which feels like maybe the best brag in the backyard with other dads that I would use if I was using it. I'm just going to say it. What's really cool is that he's done off the court. He started a foundation serving at-risk kids, won the Arthur Ashe Humanitarian Award, and somehow managed to transition to media, podcasting, and broadcasting without losing that edge or his sense of humor. Also worth noting, he once hosted Saturday Night Live, which is so fun, saved people from a hotel fire, which is even cooler, and literally named sexiest athlete alive. I couldn't even say that right.
No, a good way to say that.
I was so intimidated. Which we'll be discussing further on this pod. We're so pumped to have you, Andy. Thanks so much for doing this. So the thing that we always love asking initially, especially with someone with a Rolodex of accomplishments that you've had, if I read that to 10-year-old Andy, so 10-year-old, right, is like, what is his response? Is he like, well, yeah? Or is he like, wow, that's amazing? Or is it in the middle? Like, what would he say knowing that what you've done now?
No, I think you'd be shocked. I think it'd be like ecstatic. But then it's weird. Then you ask like 28-year-old, and I was like, I should have gotten a couple more. You know what it is? It's a lesson in like how your expectations reset. Like
yes, totally.
The question you ask is like a healthy one because it requires like a macro view from like a place of innocence when you're a kid, which is like it would have been like ecstatic, right? But that's just not the way that it feels in real time. Once you've kind of set a new normal, but. Yeah, I think a 10-year-old version, long-winded answer, a 10-year-old version I think would be very happy.
Like amongst professional athletes, it's like you would maybe have to embody that trait that would constantly be robbing yourself of the joy. Because if you stay in that place where you're like, wow, this is amazing, I'm just happy to be here, what are the odds that you're going to be the guy that's still there 2 weeks into Wimbledon, and you're at the final or whatever?
Yeah, I'll use one of my big rivals and the biggest thorn in my side. I'm not jealous of Federer. I love him to death. He's like the best human ever. He ruined my life for a decade, and I generally love Roger, and we're good friends to this day. I was interviewing him one time. I'd been retired for about a year. I said, you don't have this reputation. It's like Jordan broke a guy's nose in practice, right? Like
Yeah.
Lance Armstrong would do anything to win. He would cheat to win. All these guys, like, they have this thing, like, they'll rip your head off. I go, you're like the only greatest that doesn't have that reputation. And he looked at me and he said, like, the simplest, most annoying thing ever. He goes, yeah, I don't know. I just like the feeling of winning more than I dislike the feeling of losing. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It was like the simplest little thing that
What a great statement.
Yeah, it's like you spent like a decade like having me going like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? And then like I've had some freedom for a year and I come back and we talk and then you do it all over again. I was like, I walked out of that room so confused. I had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, you just said this, and I want to ask this really quickly because John is a huge tennis fan, by the way. You need to buckle up because this is going to be just a blitzkrieg of wonderful fan questions. But I want to just really quickly, you said that really articulately about retirement, like the year of freedom. Is that what it felt like? Did you feel free of those things?
You miss parts of it. So it's like it's people want it to be, I feel people have been disappointed, like especially the first couple of years after I retired, they act like someone died, right? They're like,
yeah.
How's retirement?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, it's great. It's fantastic.
Wow.
Like I stayed longer for dinner last night. It was fantastic. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like a psycho. I was like, I wasn't at the tennis level of the people that I was needing or trying to beat. So I had to I made sure I felt comfort in making sure all of the decisions that I could control, like I was good at, right? Like there was sleep, there was food, there was stretching, there was it's like if I mess that stuff up, I have no chance, right?
Wow.
And so as soon as I retired, I remember driving out of New York City. I lost in the second week of the U.S. Open, and I drove straight to Philly to play golf.
Wow.
And I felt like light. Yeah, it was and not because I don't love the game. Like it's given me everything I've ever got. I love it. I played this morning for 2.5 hours. I love it.
Wow.
But it was just the at a certain point when you're a pro athlete, that game loses its innocence a little bit, right? So it's not the thing that you did when you were 9. It's somehow, whether it's, other people depending on you, whether it's, people wanting you to win because they're from the same place or whatever it is, it just loses innocence. So yeah, for a while, I felt kind of free of that.
Well, retirement at that age is so unnatural. Quitting, it's one of the things that fascinates me most about professional athletes is the fact that pretty much every sport you can't do for more than 10, 15 years. And so I can't imagine, it literally is the most fascinating thing about what you do is that you are, as John said, highest level. And that is as much mentality as you mentioned, Andy. It's not just, I'm swinging, it's everything about it. And then in one day, as you said, in your car, as you drove away, that is no longer what you do.
Yeah.
That is crazy to me.
But I think you're hitting. I think you're right on because most of the people that I'm in the minority of I was happy in retirement. I never really thought about coming back. I was young. I retired on my 30th birthday, which is really young now for tennis. I didn't have that struggle with it, right? And I think one of the things that's important is when I get asked by younger players or people, or even people that are thinking about it, and I just said, don't wait until that first Tuesday after you retire to figure out what you're going to do on that Tuesday, right? If there's anything you can start now, whether it's a business, whether it's work, whether it's, where you want to live after, you might be training in a place, all the guys train in Tampa and then they left as soon as they want, maybe move a year early and start trying to get to know. So everything's not totally different. But yeah, I think what you're mentioning with that kind of cutoff is jarring for, I'd say, most athletes when they stop. Yeah.
Did you what were those last question about? Because John's going to kill me after this. But last question, what was that for you?
Pranking me right now, Dave.
I know it's just a tease. But last question, because you're setting these up so well. What was that for you? What were those things for you that went, okay, I'm gonna either we're gonna move or I'm gonna have this other thing that I'm doing? What were those?
Our foundation, which you mentioned. Thank you for that. I love the free plugs in the intro. That was very nice of you. That's something I've been working on forever. I had a real estate company that I'd started in 2008 during the crash, which came. So I had a lot of things that were kind of already up and running. I wanted to, be a better husband. I was horrible to be around when I was playing because everything had to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
I'd be playing a night match of the U.S. Open and Brooke's like, can we go take a walk? And I'm going, I'm going to sweat and therefore I'm going to have to replace fluid, But that's where my stress head went. And so to the point where it's you want to go do something? Let's go do everything, I think there was, plenty to fill my cup up. And for the first, 8 years I retired, none of my work was in tennis. It was all in, different businesses. And, somehow we got back to the first love.
Did you find that you were the same kind of, control freak that you have to be when you're playing? Did you just, kind of turn that fire hose of intensity over to the foundation or whatever? Or did you find that you could let yourself be a slightly different kind of personality? You don't have to hold things so tightly.
Somewhere in the middle, I think. I don't think it's turning off a spigot. I think like Brooke makes fun of me. My wife, Brooke, makes fun of me all the time. She tells a story. It was like a year after I retired, and she's like, "What do you have to do today?" I was like, "Oh, well, I got to do some stuff in the morning, and then I have a workout at 2." And she's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, who's Lance is my trainer at the time. He's like, is Lance coming over?" He's like, "No, that's just when I have to do it." And she's like, "You're working out by yourself, and you set a time for it."
Right.
I was like, "Well, yeah." And she's like, "That's psychotic. Like that's not like a." So I was way better because there wasn't like a massive consequence from not being totally controlled and disciplined all the time.
Yeah.
It's not as if like as soon as I was done, my diet went out the door. Like it was, I said yes to everything, that I had said no to. So there are certain parts, but like I'm pretty hardwired still. Like, if we have to be out of the door in 3 minutes and the kids are it's not even in their orbit that we have to leave. I'm kind of like, like I get a little jittery and it annoys everyone in my family.
Okay, so speaking of kids, Dave and I this morning, we actually interviewed these two child therapists. They have a book about resilience with kids and sort of like how kids are less resilient these days, and there's a crisis, and how do we turn the ship around, all that kind of stuff. For you, you're someone who you're a professional tennis player who requires an insane amount of resilience, and discipline and et cetera, all that kind of stuff. How do you, like for me, I've grown up, I played piano for almost 40 years now. Yeah. And so it's a huge part of my life, even that transcends music. There's just self-discipline and like doing something every day that you don't want to do, but you do it, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that I spent a lot of time thinking about with my two girls, they're 13 and 10 now, is, okay, they're not on the track that I was on. We're going a totally different route. I did not force them into piano lessons. They haven't taken piano lessons yet. There's just a piano in the house, and they can play when they want. I'll teach them a song that they want to learn, whatever. So that's the route. But in my mind, I'm like, is this the right route? This is not my route. We're on like a different... What is that experience like for you? You have two kids, 10 and 8? Is that right?
Yeah, 8 and 10. Yeah, older boy, younger girl, 10 and 8. So I don't have, if you're looking for me to come up with a great answer for you, you're not going to get it. I struggle because like I was the third kid. I'm pretty sure that I was a whoopsie baby. I was like 7 years after my brother. So like we'd go to like New York City and I'd be like walking around by myself. Like I traveled to Colombia by myself when I was 12. Right.
Holy
cow. Like it's just so, but to play tennis, cause like you can't like, people don't think like the better you get at tennis, you have to start traveling around the world.
Wow.
To take a parent, that's like super expensive.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's
you just doubled your expenses. Yeah.
That's a budget killer. Right. And so you'd go with a coach and the coach is supposed to watch like 6 kids and like, good luck. Like, so, but it's weird because I've seen people who have done the same things and I'm very convinced that if tennis doesn't work out, then it goes sideways.
Wow.
Right. It just happened to kind of work. So I think the best thing that ever happened for me was those experiences, right? The kind of like having to, throw into the wolves, you figure it out, you go somewhere, you don't know how to speak, you kind of figure it out, you got to take a train to practice, like no one's there holding your hand, like there's things that are like, but I think they're great, right?
Yeah.
It comes with, but like when those things go sideways and someone goes through this existence and it doesn't quite work out the way it should, there are a lot of people that end up, it's like, well, they just let me do whatever I want. It didn't end well. And so I almost have this like mechanism where I want to protect against all guilt with making a mistake, It's like, and I consciously have to let my kids fall sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
which
like
is
you
tough.
go and make the decision that you are convinced that is wrong.
Yeah.
Right. But they're like, I'm sure the therapists will say everything opposite of what I'm saying now, but like you got to think that if the kids make their own mistake and there's a consequence, it's going to hit 10 times harder than if you just tell them that it would be wrong, right? So listen, you're not the only one, I'm sure. Like I struggle with that all the time because like the best parts of anything, it was like I went to the school of like Earth, right?
Yeah.
And like the best parts of anything that I learned ever was probably from that. And also, if you don't take those lessons and they don't hit the right way, I don't know. Then I've seen it go sideways so many times.
Yeah.
So it's like, the best athletes in the world, you look at Tiger Woods and his dad's heckling him when he's 7 on the driving range. I'm like, that's not healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
But the green jackets look pretty good.
Can that just be the title of the Masters from now on?
I grew up Venus and Serena too. Like I used to practice next to them, and it's like they practice 9 hours a day.
Jeez.
Like at like 10 years old. That's probably not healthy. I'm sure the therapist wouldn't say that's healthy. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you're not going to play tournaments, and then when you play them, you're going to win. It's like, oh, okay. Well, they're Venus and Serena, so it worked out. But like that strategy with anyone else is probably a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
I don't. That probably didn't help at all.
Hey everybody, it's John here. It's just going to be me on this one because I'm that passionate about it. Now listen, I want to tell you about Time for Learning. Time for Learning believes in harnessing the flexibility of homeschool to help families explore passions, travel, and hobbies without the constraints of traditional school hours. So you could have school like on top of a mountain, right? Or in the middle of the ocean, whatever. You can schedule a mix of subjects each day or focus on specific ones by the day. Time for Learning is incredible in the way that it has everything you need to teach pre-K through 12th grade at home with all the core and elective classes offered in a traditional brick and mortar school. Now, the Cinema series, it might be my favorite. It's rich, story-driven courses for grades 6 through 12 that bring learning to life. Get started with a monthly plan to see if Time for Learning is right for you and your family. You got multiple students? You can save up to 30% by opting for an annual plan. Time for Learning's templates for transcripts, grades, and diplomas make it easy to match homeschool requirements in all 50 states. And the templates can be used as a main curriculum, supplement, or even after school or summer learning series. Now, for me personally, I'm just thinking how Time for Learning could help us musicians while we're on tour. I mean, we could educate our little ones every day in any city right before soundcheck. I mean, that would be living the dream. And after 20 years of over 1 million students served, Time for Learning is the best way to nurture confident, future-forward kids and get them ready to thrive in college and career. If you're curious if Time for Learning is right for your family, visit timeforlearning.com. That's TIME, the number 4, and learning.com to explore the curriculum and find the perfect plan for your student. You can even get started with just a monthly subscription to see how much your kids enjoy learning on their own terms. Timeforlearning.com.
Well, the other thing too that I think I'm curious about with the two of you on your marriage, is there a yin and yang to that, or do you both? Because I feel like the intensity of you, surely she's not the same, right?
She's the same, but just towards me.
You get all of it.
She's the happy relief valve, right?
Yes.
I mean, she's, we're both like, I think something that we think we're probably right about, and hopefully we'll think that in 10 years is like.
That's a great quote.
I think it's okay to have expectations for your kids. Mm. I think it's like, oh, they're kids. It's like, oh, what, he's 10. I mean, he knows better than that. Like, I think we both have expectations, and we kind of hold the line strong up to you have complete freedom up to a certain point, and then wrong is wrong from kind of that point forward. So, I'm a nerd about time and stuff like that, but our kids, plenty of bandwidth to kind of go nuts and have fun, and it's certainly not a practice type environment all day, but she's definitely the fun parent, they would tell you, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a couple tennis questions. I'm really limiting this. I want it to be said. I want to be patted on the back for how restrained I'm going to be here.
I mean, don't pull a hamstring.
It's already pulled. I'm 43.
Right, Dad. Implied in the title of the podcast.
Okay, so becoming number one in the world. Here's as I'm making my list of things I want to ask you about. I'm obviously I listen to your podcast. It's great. Everybody should listen to your podcast. It's you do these Q&As, and people are asking you questions. And I'm like, I don't want to ask him all the questions that he gets asked a million times, but I'm going to let myself have this one.
Let's do it.
So becoming a professional athlete of any sport, you're already in the point whatever 1% of human beings on planet Earth, right? And then you have, you kind of go from there. In tennis, you break into the top 100, and then you break into the top 50, and then you get your first title, and then you get a Masters 1000 title, and then you win a major, So all these things, but maybe the tip of that pyramid is becoming number one in the world. And it's such a unique experience for a human being because, again, Dave and I are musicians. Dave plays guitar. There is no number one guitar player in the world. It's fun to debate. There's no number one piano player. If there were, I wouldn't be on that list, even though I've been trying my whole life to get better at piano. But there is this time in your life where it's not a debate. Andy Roddick is the number one tennis player in the world.
That was a great cup of coffee when that happened. It didn't last long. And this ponytailed assassin back then came and took my lunch. I'll tell you the coolest part about becoming it is one. No one knows that I was. I mean, I'll selling myself out now, but no one knows that I was only number one for 13 weeks. And 2 months of that 13 weeks was just off season. I just timed it right. My idol was Andre Agassi, right? Yeah. He's my favorite. We're dear friends. And it was before you had the apps on your phone where you're just checking scores all the time. And, so I remember it was in 2003, I was out to eat and I had a friend that was in the stadium. So Andre, the way the math worked out, there were three of us that could have been number one. Roger was in third position. Juan Carlos Ferrero, who was recently the coach of Alcaraz until he wasn't. And then me. And anyways, we played the first couple rounds, and then so I know that if Andre beats Ferrero, that I'm number one. So this whole full circle moment of your idol being the person. So I'm listening. My friend's just holding his phone up, and I'm listening at dinner. So basically, whenever you hear a massive cheer, it was in Houston, so the Americans are going for Andre, and so then it gets to that last one. And Andre closes it, and it's you get goosebumps still. It's just Jeez. That's the moment. It's this. I don't know if I'm actually the best player in the world, but math isn't. To your point, math doesn't lie.
Right.
In tennis, and so that was it was pretty crazy. There's a lot of slam winners, which is top of the top, but different reasons for different things. We were probably in a transition year post Andre and Pete before. Fed and Rafa and all that, but it's something that can't be taken away, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And it's interesting hearing you say some of those qualifiers because, I only know what it's like to be me, and I know whatever victories I've had in my career, I can maybe, hopefully I feel them in the moment, and hopefully I feel them 10 years later. But in between there's a lot of times where I can kind of technically it happened, but here's why. And from the outside looking in, we would hope that you experienced it fully and felt that you deserved it, et cetera, et cetera. But I know it's always more complex on the inside.
Yeah, I don't know. There are levels. You look at there's no way around. This isn't false humility. You look at the people that have been number one. It's oh, that guy got in there. And then you look at the people with 20 plus slams. I can't believe they were ever not number one. Right. It's a different conversation. So there's certainly levels, right? It's my Dirk Nowitzki is one of the greatest players ever, and then he can't be compared to LeBron, right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just, so I'm fully kind of eyes wide open on all of that. But yeah, it's wild. It's just where it really gets me is you'll go to these. I remember one of the years after I retired at the U.S. Open. They had every former number one in the same room for a dinner and a celebration of the number ones. And so when I get in that room, I'm this is you're walking through your dreams of childhood.
Yeah.
Right? You're looking, and they have them all lined up from when they became number one. So
that
it's you look
remarkable.
You look to your left and it's Guga Kuerten and then Andre and then Pete and then you look to your right and it's Roger and then Rafa and then Novak and you're whew.
When you're in that room,
it's I'm happy to be jelly. I'm in the middle of these guys.
When you're in that room, are you Yeah, these are my people. We are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, that's a great question.
No.
No. No. There's no cut from the same cloth. Like there can be Hall of Famers, but then there's like the people who snuck in on like the 6th ballot, and you're all Hall of Famers.
Yeah,
but like you didn't get like you're not like Rivera. You didn't get like a unanimous vote. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like it's there are levels. So I'm appreciative. I'm proud. I'm full of gratitude. Like it's cool as hell. It's amazing when you get introed. I always want to hear it. It never gets old. And also like it's not the same as some of the others. That's all.
So to your point, like when you were playing for the first time, you're playing Rafa for the first time. You're playing, any of those guys. Obviously, Roger.
Yeah.
That first game, I'm assuming there's probably some hype coming in. People, you know about them, obviously. But when you play those kind of guys, and I'm sure people felt this with you, do you go, oh boy, this is something?
Yeah. The difference is like so. Rafa and Roger, we probably played each other. I played Rafa when I was 2 in the world and he was like 40. So he was like 17, right? Wow. Like he had like just learned how to tie his shoes or something, right? Like he was young.
Yeah.
So that you didn't really know what he was going to be.
Okay.
At that point, it was like second round of the Open where it's like you point backwards and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
But like that moment for me was like Pete and Andre, like Agassi and Sampras. It was I played Andre for the first time. It was the first time I'd ever won a match in a tour event. And second round, I play Andre.
Jeez.
And so we go out on center court of Miami, which is a pretty big event.
Yeah.
I was like a local wild card. I was still in high school. So
no way.
Yeah. So I had like gone to class on like a Friday and was playing Andre like a night session on like a Sunday. And then he runs me out of the building. And then my mom made me go to school the next morning. So I went from playing 15,000 people against the number 1 player in the world to like algebra at like 10 a.m. the next day. It just so happened because we were living in South Florida. She's like, well, I mean, I'm sorry, like go to school.
And what was the school when you go to school the next day? Does everyone know about the match? Does anybody care?
There was a moment in school because no one else in our school, like the normal kids, like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a tennis player. But to them, it was like no different than someone saying like, I'm a basketball player.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
right.
like, oh,
right.
you probably like put up like 18 last week in the intramural scrimmage.
Right.
So it changed, everything changed my senior year of high school. Like I signed a deal with Reebok that was announced. I played, just so happened the 2 like pro events I played were like in our backyard. Like one was in South Florida and the other one was in Miami. So it was different. And so I had like a good 3-month run where I was like actually like people knew I was like a pro.
Well, you know what I was thinking about is like there was some sweet kid who was in your grade who was like the number 1 for the high school team who really thought like I've got something. And then it's like, oh yeah, but Andy's
he's playing back all the conversations where he's like, I play basketball.
Have you noticed when you're backswing, you're like,
no,
shit.
there was, so my junior, so we had like this group, so we trained with this group. Basically, everyone that got cut by our national federation all started training together, but we would play at our coaches' like apartment courts.
No.
Right? And so we had like some good players. Like every guy we trained with was like top 10 in the country, right? Marty Fish came out of that. He was like 6th in the world.
Yeah.
A couple guys won some doubles titles.
That's like the greatest games no one ever saw.
Yeah. So, But true story, I played 1 high school match in my life. You ready?
No.
I was a junior in high school, so I was number 1 in the country in 16 and unders. And I played 3 on my high school team that day.
How on earth are you playing 3?
Because I'll tell you, because I was the 3rd best player in my junior year. Like, because we had like these phenoms at our school. So there's basically this. There was you guys will like. So we play this. We play this team called Cardinal Gibbons, who had these 2 twins, the Boker twins. But their whole thing was like we're like 15-time national champs in tennis. So we had never played a high school tennis match. And it was like we circled these guys because, like in tennis, you don't get defined by high school championships.
Yeah,
right. You like go. We didn't play high school because we were playing like the Junior French Open.
Right.
Or something. Right. It just happened to work, and we're like, we're gonna beat these guys. And so we went down there and swept them. It was like, keep titles.
Which is great. You should have that.
Yeah.
You should have one day where you get to do that.
Yeah, and so
I love that you got to do that.
But Marty Fish played 1 that day, and he was ranked higher than me at the time. This guy Dave Martin played 2, and I played 3. Our number, I think our line 5 guy that day was like 4 in the country in juniors.
That's insane. Okay,
and then a week we beat Notre Dame, came down to play like a practice match, and our high school kids, we beat them, and they were 2 in the country at the time.
That's amazing.
And is it still that way? I mean, down in, was it Tampa, you said?
A lot of the guys trained at Saddlebrook, yeah.
Yeah. That's just like,
but we were in South Florida at the time, yeah.
So speaking of Marty Fish, you have, and I apologize because I know you've told this story a million times, but it's just so great. Like you have, you're infamous for your serve, and that it was a unique situation in that you had like this proprietary serve that your coach, you told all your coaches, like, we don't talk about my serve. You can coach me on anything else. Can you kind of tell the story of how that came to be?
Yeah, so the aforementioned apartment tennis courts at Crystal Palms apartment complex
that have now been gilded.
Yeah,
they've just gilded the entire court.
There's no way anyone even knows. Like there's loud kids who played their music too loud. Marty was, he was better in juniors before I was good at juniors, like on a world level. So he spent a year just beating the crap out of me in practice. I was frustrated one day. I used to have for people that aren't tennis people, like I would not take my racket down. I would just take it straight up and jump off of 2 feet, which is not normal for tennis. So like basically like a half motion and then just try to like explode into it. But I was practicing with Marty, and I used to have a more traditional, serve where you would take the racket fully down and you see people bring their foot up and it like looks rhythmic and it looks like it makes sense. It's not this like jerky, half-baked thing that I ended up doing. But against Marty, I basically had tapped out in practice. I was angry. I hit a serve as hard as I could off of 2 feet, and it went in. And so then I did it again the next point, and it went in, and that was my serve.
Really?
And that this is like, you're breaking all the rules. This is not what a serve should be.
No. It was, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Let's get to the hitting. But it was completely out of, it was born out of, at all the greatest coaches when I was a junior, and it was born out of frustration.
Yeah.
Did it do anything weird to your body? Like, because I know that some of these movements can long-term jack something up, or did you notice that it changed anything?
I don't think it was any worse than it would have been. Like my shoulder, I would have probably had to have an operation if I wanted to continue when I stopped.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was 17, 18, people would watch it, and to your point, they'd say, like, you can't throw a curveball when you're 12, right? Like, you're not supposed to do that. Your arm's not supposed to do that. We got 13 years. I never had an operation.
That's incredible.
Amazing.
I didn't hit it as big at the end. There was, like, obviously wear and tear. But, if you did a blind MRI on 70% of tennis players right now, they would have a tear, some sort of tear in their rotator cuff of some sort. So I don't think it was any worse. Considering it was probably technically flawed.
So when you went home that night, were you like, oh my gosh, I have just found a significant thing?
No, you're high on hope. You hope that you go back in 3 days and it's the same.
It's still there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the difference between professional athletes and mere mortals as myself. If I had done some version of that, I would have been like, all right, so now I'm going to go to the ad court and I'm going to do the same thing. And I wouldn't have done the same thing. I just, my body just, I don't have that fine tuning,
It just made sense. And then like you get a month in, because you've never done it before. So like you can see that it's coming off hot, but it's like adjusting something and gaining 3 miles an hour a fastball, but you're still not confident in the strike zone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so then like you get a month or two, and then 3 months down the road, I'm like, oh, I start winning. I won like world championships. I'm like, oh, this is different. I'm good to go. That's it.
And obviously players don't know what to do with that.
No, I went from like, this is going to sound good. I was like 30 in the world in juniors, which doesn't mean you're going to make it on tour. It means that you're going to get a free ride somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
To 1 in the world in juniors and then it got, I probably 18 months after that, I was borderline top 10 in the world, and it happened like quick. And it was because of that.
Isn't that those again, this for professional sports, and especially maybe tennis or like golf, where it's so execution is down to such small details, or maybe pitching, whatever. But to think that one thing.
Well, think about that. Like I think about it often. I go, what if I would have been winning against Marty that day?
Yeah,
I know. Totally. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What if it would have
never been like
that afternoon?
No, because I wasn't great from the baseline. I was fine, but like I wasn't number one in the world based on my ground game or anything else. Like, it was because I could throw it.
Well, so here I get to ask one nerdy question. What did you see change in the time that you were playing from when you started to when you ended, that you were like, man, okay, tennis has taken these steps forward? What did you see?
So there's a couple things. One, the movement was in like the 90s, you would have guys that were like maybe hit huge serves, but were kind of like didn't move great. And you could like expose it. And it was like, so that when the surfaces slowed down and then the strings, the new technology in the strings where you can kind of grab the ball a little bit more, like you don't see slow people that are really good at tennis now. There's just no space for it. Like the way that people move on court, like you watch Alcaraz and Sinner and it's like
ridiculous.
Holy, the way these guys are getting in and out of the corners, it's just crazy. They've become the best athletes in the world, in my opinion, because it's like non-negotiable. You have to have like the motor skills to be able to square a ball up all the time while moving. You have to be an elite, like 12 out of 10 athlete. You have to have endurance. You have to be able to play 5.5 hours. You're not allowed to talk to anyone, so you have to kind of mentally be strategic around all things. So you kind of have to check every box. Where it's like I got to number one in the world, and I had like my backhand was trash. That would not happen ever again. Like you're not going to see someone with like an incomplete game make it to the top of the sport, and you're not even seeing people with incomplete games win majors now. It's just there's no space for it. Like forehands are like backhands. There's no weaknesses that you can go to, and the guys it's like a game of Pong. Like they just can cover so much ground. Movement is by far like no one's hitting serves harder, but like people move so much. They move so well, which lends itself to them not missing as much, right? Because they're never extended or out of position. The movement is by far number one.
Do you think that you credit that more toward like maybe now, these guys just have teams around them. You have like
that's part of it for sure.
on staff, whereas back in the, maybe McEnroe's day, you just roll up by yourself, or maybe you've got a coach. Or is it that tennis is attracting the Alcaraz or like the Rafa who could have gone and played soccer? They're coming to play tennis now.
Yeah, it's probably when the money goes up, sports become a lot more attractive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one. But like I know for a fact, like my coach was Jimmy Connors for a couple of years, and he's like, I never lifted a weight. I just hit more tennis balls.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing like even like in all sports, you're getting the data feedback from like a wristwatch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're knowing like, they're like, you're at injury risk right now today. And you go, okay, well, I'm going to back off. I was like, that might've saved you 3 months.
Yeah.
There's so many advantages with what you can do now. So I think it's a combination. I think now that we have the technology, ability, and knowledge, if you give that to a Sinner, he is going to max out what he is, right?
Yeah.
You give that to Alcaraz, they are going to max out what they are. And so therefore, like, someone that's incomplete like me isn't going to sneak in and steal, some of their lunch, right? Because they're so well-rounded, so complete. But also just, I think everyone's just bigger, stronger, faster. The courts have slowed down, so it puts more importance on movement. So I think it's all of those things.
What do you mean when you say
it means, okay, so if you watch tennis in the 90s, a lot of it was big serves just walking back and forth, right? It was kind of like people were like, it's boring because you have Sampras acing Ivanisevic and Becker, and they're just doing the same thing back to him. So no one will ever admit this on record, but it's like known. Like you put more sand in the mixture of courts, right? So like when I rub this tabletop on it's smooth. So I know that a tennis ball on this surface would shoot through because there's nothing to like kind of grip it and slow it down.
Yeah.
Now, if you put a piece of sandpaper, it hits, it's gritty, and the ball checks up a little bit more.
Wow.
So whatever they did with the courts, balls, etc., now you're seeing like these monster rallies every time where guys are having to run more, therefore running becomes way more important. Whereas if you watch highlights from like Wimbledon in the 90s, that ball is shooting through the court. Like, whatever that mixture of sand and ground, it's kind of like a whole process. It's like a golf course that's firm, like overseas, right? Versus like one that's lush with grass, plays slower, the drives don't go as far. Like you can manipulate, where the bounce is in kind of all sports.
So with knowing that, what would you? So I'm a big soccer fan. Thing that fascinates me about sports these days is that people are, I think, because of money, eyeballs, whatever, Like they added 5 subs now to professional game, right? So it used to be 3. That changes a game drastically. And for a fan, it's great because it means fresher legs. The game stays more exciting. What is there something you would change in tennis? Like if like knowing what you know now, is there something you'd be like either go back to this or change this, or like when you watch it, you're like, you know what I wish they would do? Do you have any?
Yeah, I wish there was more contrast. Like I'm never going to be the guy that's like, back in our day, that's when it was the best. Like everyone's going to be better, like bigger, stronger, faster. The game's going to be better in 20 years than it is now. That's just the way it is. Like, you know, it doesn't take anything away from anyone who's done anything before because they were the best given everything they were given. Like you give someone a wood racket, it's going to come out drastically different than these like spin machines that they have in their hands now. Like it's just yeah. So it's different. The thing that has to be fixed in tennis is the length of schedule. I go off on it all the time. You can't play a professional sport from January 1st to December 1st.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and then there's like mandatory events and all this other stuff. Like we have to, and the problem is all the governing bodies are all fragmented, right? The slams operate as the slams. They're all independent. Then the tours fill in, 9 months in between. Then you have, the Olympics slide in, and then ITF has team competitions, and basically no one ever agrees because they all just kind of look out for their own thing. There's no union. So, but we have to find a way to at least minimum finish by November 1st. Give people a break. Let bodies heal. Like we don't have a home team, right?
Yeah,
we don't have a Yankee fan base that is going to come even if you're trash. Like we need star players.
Yeah.
We need to keep Sinner and Alcaraz in the game as long as possible.
Yeah.
Serena's thinking about coming back. You think that's bad for anyone in tennis? No. We need to keep our stars in the game as long as we can, and we got to give some space to breathe. And we kind of have to give the point that doesn't get talked about. We got to give fans a chance to miss it.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Like when football season comes back around, you're tuning in at the end of July being like, oh, they signed a backup tight end. Like everyone's all pumped up. We don't have that.
Yeah.
And you guys are flying. It's a global sport.
Oh, God.
I mean, you're flying literally all over the world.
Ugh.
It's insane.
We don't get it. Like, I'm going to preface this with we don't get hit in the head. I understand everything I'm saying. And also when I hear people talk about like, oh, it's a West Coast trip, that time difference, I'm like, oh, there's no way. It's like Memphis on a Friday and Dubai on a Monday. Get out of here.
Which is
it's not
a
great.
literal true reference. You were in Memphis.
No, I did. Yeah. 100, yeah, that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
I'm prone to exaggeration. That's not one of them.
John,
Dave,
can I pick a subject that we talk about right now?
please.
Bed sheets. Go. Just
Okay,
say whatever
here's
you're
the
thinking.
thing.
Say whatever you're
Because I
thinking.
feel so passionately about this.
Okay.
You know what I don't like?
What? Tell me.
Bad bed sheets.
Oh, hashtag.
Okay? When the corners won't stay put, the fabric's super thin, you can practically see through it. When they're scratchy.
Yes.
Oh, you wake up like in all hours of the night, you're too hot, you're uncomfortable. It's miserable.
It is. John, if your sheets are thinning, slipping, or overheating, that's your sign it's time to upgrade to Boll & Branch.
I knew
Boll
that's where
&
you're
Branch's signature sheets are made from 100% organic cotton.
Yes.
And are designed to hold their shape, unlike me in college, stay breathable, and feel luxuriously soft every night.
Dave, I'm not switching to Boll & Branch unless you tell me that I'll fall asleep faster, stay comfortable all night, not just some of the night, and actually notice the difference the very moment I get into bed, and that they won't wear out.
Oh, John, I've got some good news for you because all of the above is happening. They get softer with every watch.
Yes.
Yeah, and wash, John. You can sit there.
Just
They're
watch
so
them.
comfortable. You just fall asleep looking at them. Sleep sound with Boll & Branch. Get 15% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com/dadville.
That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND, branch.com/dadville to save 15% and unlock free shipping. Exclusions apply.
Okay, so speaking of developments in tennis, there are two that I want your thoughts on here. One, for people who don't know, it used to be that there would be linesmen that would be calling. But their entire job is like, you just see if this ball is out, and part of the
they
fun
watch
of the
one
game,
line.
They watch one line.
Yeah.
Part of the fun of the game is when they get it wrong, the players have a certain amount of challenges.
Yeah.
Now that I don't know if there's still linesmen in some tournaments, but it seems like it's all completely gone now. There's just a computer that doesn't make mistakes. It kind of bums me out.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like if I was the commissioner of tennis, I'd be like, is the game more popular when we throw stuff and complain? Like,
Yeah, right?
maybe. Like and it never affected because like frustration is frustration and you're trying to win. So this isn't a thing, but like 100%, like to your point, I would be in Australia. We're playing in the middle of the night in America, right? You playing a slam, you make semis and you get 12 seconds on SportsCenter. If you threw a fit, broke something, and yelled at an umpire, it was like full 2.5 minutes.
Yeah,
100%.
That's
like,
crazy.
There's so I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. I understand the theater argument, and I kind of largely agree with it. I like that. I don't think everyone who complains about it doesn't turn the channel when someone's having a meltdown. They just complain about it later.
Right.
But also, I've been on the side where people have, umpires gotten it wrong in a big match, and you feel like something was taken.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
true.
that
That's true.
offset, I think if I had to vote, you vote on like getting it right.
Yeah.
And we'll always find something to complain about.
Okay.
What a great.
Other one is the coaching rule, which is a little bit more inconsequential, maybe.
Yeah.
But there used to be a rule that the player cannot speak to their coach. Their coach is obviously right there. You can't, if the umpire feels like you're communicating in any way, you get a warning and then you might get a point taken away or whatever. But now that you can talk to your coach as much as you want, right?
Yeah. So that one's a little bit different because like, I'm just going to openly admit to cheating right now. There's like, that one is a little bit different because everyone had like.
They had a system.
Yeah. It's like your coach goes like this, like they can't get you for it. But if your coach is like, it's like, all right, my return position is going back.
Oh, wow.
Or like they, you look up and they kind of go like this. It's like an outline. There's like they're all like third base coaches, but it's like every tennis coach turns into like Don Zimmer.
Shout out Don Zimmer.
Yeah. So I still think it's like, and people are like, well, the thing that differentiates tennis is like the isolation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like the fact that you have to be out there alone for so long. I don't think that's lost right now.
Right.
Because like anything you say as a coach, it's not as if you can, you don't see people sitting down for, however, and also like players and coaches don't agree all the time either.
Right.
Wow.
So like coach tells you something, you can be like, that's not what I'm feeling. I know that's what you're seeing, but I'm just telling you that's not what I'm feeling.
Wow.
And I don't know that I can actually make the adjustment based on, how big the ball is coming at me, how, I don't feel good on this side. So it's not, it's more nuanced than that. But to your point about the theater of tennis and like, do we want that? Being able to have mics and hear what the coaches are saying is great for viewing.
Yeah.
Wow. Like I want to hear what they're saying. I want to hear if they're full of shit. I want to hear if they're adding value. I also love it when the players make a face when they say something.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like, go do this. And like, that's great. That's great television. Yeah, I do too. So I was kind of against it when they were talking about it. And now that I've seen it, I don't think it makes much of a difference very often.
Yeah.
I still feel like that isolation is there. Because also like when you're in the heat of the moment, I wasn't great at listening to people like in a heightened emotional place.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't as if I was like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
I'll give that a go.
call.
Yeah.
I'll try it.
Yeah, let's talk more. That's not the way it worked. But I think it's great for TV. I think it's something else to watch.
Yeah.
I think the more you can kind of peel back the layers and kind of give the inside view, I think it's probably a net positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more questions before you hit the speed round, so buckle up for that, by the way.
I'm ready.
So do your mental stretches.
Yep.
One of the things I love about having professional athletes on is talking about kids, and their kids especially, around sports. So knowing what you know from having done it when you did, and obviously, these years later, kids in sports is such a different thing. But how do you think about your kids playing sports? Like if they, let's say that your son or your daughter showed extreme prowess in a way, does that excite you? How do y'all talk about that in the house? Especially knowing what you know and seeing what you've seen and what you're seeing
And the
now.
resources that you have at your
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tennis parents are pretty bad.
Wow.
Right? Like we went through the 90s. It was like even the phenoms, like their dads were, it was gross. And it was verbally abusive. I grew up seeing kids that were like South Florida in the 90s. I saw like kids getting beaten after matches. I saw parents getting in fights. And so I have this like you have to gamble. If you go so hardcore, it's not dissimilar to what we were talking about when we opened the show. If Tiger Woods gets past being heckled by his own father, the upside is tremendous. And if it goes sideways, I'm pretty hands off. I don't say anything during games beyond like, here you go, good job. I don't talk about it too much. If I have an opinion, I'll kind of say, I saw something. Do you want to hear it? And most of the time they'll say yeah, but there's no pressure. Like I remember going home and it was like the mood of the house was kind of dictated by whether I'd want to lost something, you know. And I have like this. I don't want that. I have this like aversion to that whole thing. But one of my favorite hobbies is being at like my son's baseball game and hearing that parents say that is so stupid that it's like you'll see like my favorite's like you'll be at a game and like, you know, some kid's just giving up like 3 runs and then he strikes someone out to end the inning. The parents are like, dominant. I'm like, it's like
the least
and I don't say
perspective.
I don't say anything. It's like, I mean, if a couple things break the right way, we'll be playing on Sundays. I'm like, dude, he's like the third backup. Yeah. So I like going for the entertainment value of other parents at sporting events.
So let me ask you this. I know this is a heavy question, but what would you say, like parents that are listening that have kids that are good at sports, what wisdom would you give? Like, what would you, or like, you know, you have a friend that calls you who's not an athlete and he's like, man, our kid is great at basketball or maybe in tennis. What do you say to that?
So there's 2 things. There's one, whenever you think your kid is really good at something, just travel a little further.
Wow.
Right. So like you see the kids in our leagues and there's like, there's how many kids are in your league? Are they the best 10 in their league? So therefore we think they're awesome.
Yes.
Are there 50 other leagues like that in the state?
That's really good.
So then it's like, let's apply math to excellence a little bit. And like, let's stress test against that. The worst question I get asked all the time is how many hours a day did you train?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I don't know. When I was 9, I could hold my attention for like an hour. And what I think is how many hours can you play before it becomes tedious and not fun?
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Some kids can go 3 hours and they love it the whole time.
Wow.
You're doing a disservice to the kids that have an hour and a half. They feel terrible about the last hour of practice.
Yeah.
And you can say, let's try to build. Let's build 5 minutes.
Wow.
Right? But because some guy you asked who used to play sports says 4 hours, you're going to go do 4. Like there's different kids progress at different times. They're ready for things at different times. There's not like a stock answer.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I'll say is like, if you're a parent and you're guiding your kids, control the controllables, right?
Wow.
If something happens and you get called out on strikes, the conversation can't be for the rest of the day, that ref sucks.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be, you're gonna get one, you're gonna lose one. Like, what did we do well that we can control? Right? Did you show up? Were you warm when you went in? You know, were you one of the first ones there? Were you ready to throw when the time started? Like, if the conversation centers around the stuff that's in your control and you get 95% of those right, you're going to have a lot more days that feel like wins, I think.
Yeah.
That's so good, man. Gosh, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to throw in just one more last question before we hit the speed round. You know, you bring up Agassi. I loved Agassi. I read his autobiography, Open, which I thought was amazing.
Yep.
And he talks about how much he hates tennis throughout the whole book. And we've had a couple we had a professional MMA fighter on here, and I'm curious with anybody who does what you guys do on a professional level, do you enjoy it? And I know that the matches are just like with Dave and I playing concerts. It's like Drew, that's 3% of your time is like on stage doing the thing. There's a lot of other aspects to it. But if we're just talking about the matches, like in 2009 Wimbledon final, you're in this epic battle with Roger Federer. Are you enjoying the match?
I'm not thinking about that.
That's not even part of the equation.
But I'll tell you, like, every single match, I won 600 and something matches in my career, which is a lot for a shorter career. I was nervous before every single one.
Wow.
Really?
like I could be playing someone 150 in the world, and it's like my stomach, and like 12 years of that, where you're going through that maybe 6 times a week on a good week.
Jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, or you're going into, like, I remember, and it's like this is an extreme example, but I tell this story in our podcast sometimes, like, did you enjoy it? I'm like, I love it. I love the hard parts of it, but I like them more after the fact.
Yeah. Right.
Like we played in Australia, and it's one of those ones where on center court, you walk down 5 steps to walk up 3 steps, right? But you wait at the bottom before you go up those 3 steps. So you're kind of eye level with the court. And they used to play it on this surface that was basically like a rubber mat on top of concrete. So it's called rebound ace. But have you smelled tires when they're hot or burning? That's what it would smell like, right? So it'd be 140 degrees on court in Australia, and you would be about to walk out, and you would get like a waft of like burnt rubber.
Holy cow.
And you know that there's potentially, every time you go out there, you could be out there for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Right? And so then you get that first thing. So like, yeah, that's brutal. And also, I was good at being uncomfortable. Like I was, so there are these very hard things that you're like, you can make an excuse for, and it's like, this stinks. That's not fun. Like, no part of that is fun.
Right.
It's fun when the guy wilts, and it's like, it's satisfactory when the guy like rolls over. So but then how's this for like champions and smart people saying smart things? So I was complaining. I was complaining.
That needs to be the name of your podcast, by the way.
No. Yeah. I'm not the champion. I'm not the smart person. So I mentioned something like that to Andre. It's like, man, it's hot out there. Man, it smells like. He goes, will you shut up? I'm like, okay, that's aggressive. It's not what you want to hear from your like idol.
Right.
So I wore all the bad spandex with you. You can give me a break. So he goes, you need to think about it differently. And I was like, I mean, hot is hot. Like, I don't know. Like, he goes, no. He goes, how many other people have to be better at their job than exactly one person every day? Every other job, you're playing against the field every day. Like your music, like the way you play piano, you're playing against either yourself or the field, right? Can I create something that's better than a million people you can't see?
Yeah, yeah.
He goes, you know who you have to be better than. You just have to be better than one person a day.
That's amazing.
I'm like, man, that simplifies a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's probably why you're great.
Yeah. Golly.
You know?
Dude. Okay. Let's get
But like, no, so like the parts of it aren't fun, but then you get to that part of it and it's like, it's satisfactory. But no, it takes away a lot of the fun, I think, when there's consequence.
I just want to say quickly, I mean, obviously I would never know this, but what a fascinating, I've never thought about that the court is that hot and you're like, I'm about to be unbelievably uncomfortable for hours.
Horrible. Hopefully not hours, but yeah, like what you eat, your fluid intake, it's all on the possibility of you playing the longest match you've ever played. Right? Like you kind of have to do that each time.
So long. I mean, the majors, you're out there 5.5 hours. It's
crazy.
The
one was the French Open was 5:39 last year.
Crazy.
Is the Australian, is that always the hottest one?
Not the hottest tournament. It's like has the potential. So you'll get like 65 degree days, but then when it turns up, it literally feels like you're playing in a hairdryer.
Oh my gosh,
it's horrible. And then the encore, because now it's concrete or rubber. So like if the temp's 104, by the time it gets down and you're in a metal stadium, right? So it's like attracting the heat. So you're just in like a crock pot.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
It's pretty gross.
All right, here we go with our speed round.
All right, ready.
Number 1. Okay, what player did you have to adjust your game the most for?
Oh, Federer. But like, then that's the reason. Like, matchups matter at a certain point, right? Yeah. Like, I could play well, and I knew I had to play well. Everything he did bothered me, and really nothing that, like, I could hit a serve big, and he had the quickest eyes I've ever seen, right? The ability to adjust to speed, so that, like, instantly neutralized my biggest weapon. So him for sure.
Wow. Okay, I've got a second one. I'm coming up with this right now. If there's any ability someone else had that you wish you had, what was that? What was that ability?
Yeah, I would say that the ability to kind of accept pace the way like Andre did or Roger did. Like,
so what does that mean? Yeah, walk me through.
It means if someone hit a huge shot, like your shot tolerance, right? Like I couldn't like lean in. My strokes were too, like my technique was too big. I needed time to be effective, and those guys didn't need time.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So cool.
All right, if you could have dinner with 4 people, living or dead, who would it be? Present
Is that
company,
a real one?
Present
That's a
company
real one.
included.
God, I hate these because I want time with it.
This is Dave's
Like,
question.
I know it-
Sorry, I said don't ask.
No,
it.
One is going to be Cal Ripken.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Love Cal Ripken. Talk about showing up for work every day
I mean,
for a
no
long time.
joke. No
Right?
joke.
Like that's pretty cool. I met him one time and I couldn't speak. I think Mandela. I think there's a lot of stuff going on where it's like, I think we look for a shortcut to a result.
Man
and for
alive.
someone who like Ali's probably the same, like no shortcuts to, and whether you agree, disagree, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like the ability
Phenomenal.
to like, we've a lot of, I think culture now is allergic to playing the long game for something important.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like everything comes to us very quickly. So I'd
great.
want to nerd out on that a little bit. Can I? Okay, I have a caveat. Hopefully you just say yes to
this
this.
is your game.
My father passed before our son was born. Can I invite can I have one more dinner with my father and then
We'll
have
allow
my
it.
son say hello?
We'll allow that.
We'll allow
That's
that.
what I want.
There we go.
That would be it.
That's
and my dad would also be pumped that Cal Ripken was there.
It's a double. Okay, who's the most underrated player right now, women's and men's?
Underrated player right now, women's.
Or it could even be too, maybe like who are the ones you watch? You're like, ooh,
Yeah,
I like
I
what's
mean,
happening.
in tennis, there's this culture of like, you win a major or like you stink. Like, and I'm excited because
Wow.
I'm going to commentary for the first time, and I have one job, as I view it, with going into commentary for the first time, and it's to make sure people understand why it's so hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Right?
great.
Yeah.
Like
That's great.
and so my like off the top of my mind is like Alex Zverev, who's 3 in the world, is phenomenal, has won 25 tournaments, Olympic gold, been in Grand Slam finals, and every conversation is like, yeah, but he's not Alcaraz or Sinner. I'm like, you can't throw away accomplishment just because he's not like an all-timer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like people, to the point where I went off on our show, like off on a total tangent, where someone on another tennis podcast was like, I mean, he's just not that good. I'm like, what the are you talking about? Like, you guys, what is wrong with you?
Right.
So Alex Zverev is probably the one where it's like, he's like the definition for what's wrong with the narrative in our sport.
Yeah.
Like, let's explain why the matchups are harder. You can talk about deficiencies that he has and why it's harder, but like, let's actually like not be lazy about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, last question. If you wrote a book on being a dad, what would the title be?
In progress. Probably. I don't like, I mean, you guys talk about this all the time, but it's like you think you know a lot and then you realize you don't know much. I think it's just,
Amen.
it's like the ultimate gift because you feel like you're making a million maybe decisions. And if something good happens out of that, it's like, it's like sunshine.
Yep.
Like it just is the best. And I don't care what you know. Like parenting is just different. It's just harder. And how you parent, I mean, do you guys parent, like we have a son, we have to parent a certain way. And then we have a daughter, we found out she has, ADHD. And so like the way that I have to learn all over again, how to meet her where she's at versus our son, who you can just like, dude, stop being a douchebag. Like, you're going to like, it's just this ever changing, never finished process. That's just like, you hope you're just white knuckling it into like a good job.
Have
Totally,
they,
man.
one, this is not a speed round, but just one last question.
Yeah.
Have they, like, do they know about your career yet? Is that something where, like, what does that look like with them?
They do now, I think, but they didn't know much. They knew tennis because they hear me talk about it and stuff. But when they went to kindergarten, they actually kind of understood because other kids or their parents talked about it.
Yeah.
But before that, so like my son came home and he was like, "You're a tennis pro?" I was like, "Well, yeah." And he goes,
That's amazing.
And he said he's like, "Well, what club do you teach at?" I'm like, "Well, not that type of tennis pro."
It's confusing.
Yeah. But then he was like, but then they start asking questions and it goes the other way where it's like, dude, never talk about this again. Because he comes, he's like, well, what was your highest rank? I was like, well, number 1. He's like, and then he'd be like, my dad's the best ever. I'm like, no, if you don't say that to anyone ever.
No, my dad told me he was the best.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh my God, I'd want to crawl underneath the couch and never come out. Don't ever say that to anyone.
So okay, maybe this is the last speed round question. If you like, what match or how would you, if your son came to you today and fully enlightened and said, Dad, like, I want to see you play. Like, show me like, you know, a couple of points or something. Is there a match that you would play for and be like, this was me doing my thing?
We've never watched anything back.
Really? Would you ever would you want to do that with him? Like if he asked, would you feel weird?
Honestly, I just don't care.
It
doesn't. He knows. Like he knows now. Like he understands. My daughter could not care less. Like there's not even like a. Like I feel like my son has like a little bit of sense of pride about it. But our daughter just doesn't care. I don't know. I would go between like a loss and if you handled it well.
Wow.
As like something that I had to work really hard to do. Like that wasn't always. It's like a learnable thing.
Yeah.
There probably weren't many examples, but I try to find the needle in the haystack on that.
Yeah, that's great.
Andy,
dude, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Absolutely.
This was great.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.